Hello everyone, welcome to Historically Accurate. Today we are going to talk about the Great Wall of China. Have you ever wondered, why did China build the Great Wall? How does it work exactly? To answer these questions, we need to look back at ancient China and see what was happening there. Long time ago, on this ancient land, humans relied on hunting and gathering to support their diet. Until 7,000 years ago, humans started to domesticate plants and animals, and agriculture began. Food produced by farming offers more energy than food collected from hunting and gathering, and it is easier to be stored. As a result, farmers gained the following advantages over hunter-gatherers. First, the same unit of land can support a larger population. Second, farming provides surpluses of food, which can be stored for a longer period of time. Oh, by the way, humans started to domesticate cats for mice control during this period of time. At this point in history, humans who still relied on hunting and gathering had to join the farmers' club. Otherwise, they may wake up the next morning and see several times as many farmers invading their land, cutting trees to build homes, and burning the grass for farming, but can't do anything about it. Since then, farm population boomed and division of labor appeared. Also, their ability to withstand natural disasters improved. Chinese civilization finally arose. When farming culture continued expanding into the north, they finally reached a border, the 400mm rainfall line. If they cross the border, they are not able to farm to support themselves. This is due to two reasons: not enough rainfall and temperature too low. The hunter-gatherers living north of the border finally got some relief. They adapted to the local natural environment and developed nomadic culture. Oh, not this one. You think these two cultures can start their own carefree life since then? Not really. When natural disasters occur, the nomadic culture can hardly resist them. Going south to rob the farming culture almost became their only choice. The nomads rode their horses to the land of farmers for robbery. They grab as much as they can and ran away with their horses. The return on the robbery is very high. The farmers can't catch the nomads because they can't run as fast as the horses. Then why don't farmers ride horses to catch the nomads? Because farmers only have very few horses. The next question is, why farmers only have very few horses? Is it because of the 400mm rainfall line? Too much rain that the horses can't grow? No, let's talk about the characteristics of the horses.
I'm a techno horse, thank you.
Horses are odd-toed ungulates. Unlike even-toed ungulates such as cows and sheep, which have ruminant stomachs, horses only have small simple stomach. Therefore, their feed conversion ratio is very low. That's why horses need access to forage at all times, even during the night. In addition, horse meat quality is not good, and horse fertility rate is low. Horse leather is not of much value, and horse milk yield is not as high as cow's milk and sheep's milk. In terms of transportation, horses are not as strong as oxen. Also, man, horses poop all the time. An average horse will produce as much as 50 pounds of manure a day, but their manure is not a good choice as fertilizer. Horses tend to have bad temper and are aggressive. Therefore, castration is usually performed on male horses before humans can ride them. Castration procedure can have very serious complications that cause unexpected deaths in horses. After all, there was no penicillin at that time. Even if a horse survived the castration procedure, a designated person is required to take care of it for recovery. Another very important point is that the peak period of a horse for war is only 2 to 3 years. Even though they can be used for transportation purpose after their peak period, they can only be used for another 4 to 5 years. This makes horses a luxury consumable for farming civilization. All of the above explain why horse is one of the animals that's the most difficult to raise. So, the farming civilization could not raise horses. It has declined since then. This is the end of the video. Wait, why did I spend 10 minutes in my video called The Great Wall but still didn't get to the Great Wall? Don't worry, we're getting there. Just because of horse is the strategic supply that distinguishes nomadic civilization from farming civilization were forced to build a wall.
We need to build a wall. We need to build a wall. We need to build a big, beautiful wall. We need to build a wall. We need to build a wall.
Then you're probably gonna ask, why farming civilization decided to build a wall instead of recruiting its own cavalry to fight against the nomadic civilization? That's because it is too expensive for those vassal states to recruit and maintain cavalry, while it is much cheaper to build a wall on the path of the nomadic invasion so that their horses can be easily blocked. As a result, all vassal states started building their own great walls equipped with beacon system. In the beginning, the Great Wall was built by stamping earth between board frames. Humans can easily climb over it, but horses have absolutely no chance to jump over it. So we can say that the Chinese Great Wall was built to block horses. If Mr. Trump plans to build a wall, his wall needs to be like this. Without horses, nomadic people's advantages over farmers were vanished. Can the nomadic people destroy the wall first, then ride their horses to invade the farmers' territories? Of course they can, but at the cost of bringing heavy equipments with them when they come down to rob the farmers. This is because the wall is so solid that the only specialized equipment can destroy it. If they did destroy the wall, they will find out that the beacon system has already notified the farmers of the invasion, and the farmers all ran away with their valuables. If they continued coming down to rob the farmers, by the time they finished and decided to retreat, farmers' troops would have already gathered and were waiting for them on their way back. For example, at the end of the Ming Dynasty, Hong Taiji led the army to break through the Great Wall 6 times. In the last 2 cases, although they grabbed a lot of booty, they also suffered heavy casualties due to the ambush of the Ming army near the Great Wall. Many generals were killed. So in this case, if a vassal state didn't build a wall, then the nomads will all flock to that place. As a result, all farming nations began to build walls. The Great Wall became connected in this way. Next, let's talk about how the Great Wall works in details. If you have been to the Great Wall, or if you saw the Great Wall before, you would find that parts of the Great Wall were built on the ridge. But these mountains can block the cavalry by themselves. Why does the Great Wall need to be built on top of them? To answer that, we need to talk about the highway feature of the Great Wall. Suppose the nomads invade from one side of the mountain. If there is no wall on the ridge, the border army needs to go downhill, makes a detour and goes uphill to fight against the nomads. But if there is a wide highway along the ridge, the border army would be able to take the highway and get to the invasion point directly. This highway allows the farming civilization to only keep one army that can defend the long border. Even though building the Great Wall requires huge amount of labor and materials, once it's completed, the farming civilization would seem to achieve peace forever. This is a good deal, but of course, you won't be happy if you were one of the construction workers forced to build the Great Wall by the emperor. When the walls were finally connected, the nomads living in the north felt desperate as small-scale invasions in unit of tribes could no longer succeed. What's more, the connected walls blocked trading from the farming civilization to the nomads. The nomads need to acquire salt, iron, and other goods from the farming civilization for their living. But they can't offer any necessities for survival to the farming civilization. If the Great Wall blocks the way of smugglers to the north, farming civilization will acquire monopoly and raise the price of their goods. When the souths are divided into vassal states, the nomads can trade with different vassal states by taking advantage of their conflicts. But when all the vassal states became united and all the walls became connected, the initiative of trading fell in the hands of farming empire. Building the Great Wall has another benefit. The farming civilization can rely on the Great Wall as a base to attack the nomads in the north, without first gathering troops from the inland. If they can't defeat the nomads, the farming nation can just retreat back to the Great Wall. In this way, the nomads don't dare to stay in places close to the Great Wall, and they must retreat hundreds of miles north. As a result, the farming nation gained strategic depth. Thus, the tribes of the north were forced to form a more unified tribal alliance to counter the reunification of the south. Since then, whenever the farming empire of the south is unified and strong, the northern nomads are suppressed and can't raise. However, once the farming empire is partially collapsed, the nomadic people will invade the south and even establish political power. It can be said that the Great Wall has shaped the Chinese history of over 2,000 years.